All right, good morning, everybody. On Tuesday, March 2nd, spring is here. We are ready to rock and roll with KW Milwaukee. Guys, I hope you're having an awesome start to your Tuesday morning, and we are pumped because we have some incredible content for you, and you get to hear from some of your peers to help kind of reset some mindsets around the market of the moment that we are in, right? So to kick it off, a couple things. First, PSA. Many of you, and I love it, that the part of the community of which we are and which we operate is there's so many people who are inclusive and collaborative and sharing of their opinions and ways in which people can think and do differently about this business, right, guys? And we're very fortunate to have very active chatter on our Milwaukee Facebook pages. But I want to send out a reminder to the group, especially as this group has really ballooned in size over the last year to year and a half. And I think sometimes we have to reiterate this message is one reminder that even though these conversations are on Facebook, they're intended to be internal, right? Elena Zeman, I love ever since you've joined in, you've jumped in with all 2 feet. And she threw out a question this weekend that had 118 replies and people really conversing back and forth. And I love to see it. And I want to remind the group as agents, right? Like these are internal conversations and they're meant to be private. These conversations or some of the opportunities that arise within these Facebook pages are really intended for KW Associates and KW Associates only. They're private matters, they're internal conversations, and I would ask that you please respect that of your fellow peers and your fellow colleagues. That these are private groups. They are moderated by myself, Mandy, Diana, Julia, Megan, the whole rest of the team. We do moderate them, but we also ask that you respect the fact that these are internal conversations. They are private conversations. And if you have questions, comments, or concerns about them, you can reach out to me directly, and I'm happy to address that. So that's the first PSA of the morning. Second PSA of the morning. Last week, we're stoked to open up our newest location, KW Innovation, to service the Wauwatosa, Elm Grove, and Brookfield communities. So guys, know that you always have access to this space. You always have access to the internet. If you need to print something, if you need to meet a client, you need to have a closing, whatever it is that it may be, you have access to this space. And to showcase you what that space looks like, I have a quick 40-second video to kind of, for those of you who haven't been able to make the trek out to our newest location right off of Highway 41 and 94 on Watertown Plank Road. Here, I'm going to give you a quick little peek as to what the space looks like so that you can entertain clients, that you can use the space as a co-working space, and that you can meet anybody you need to within the space. So check that out. So guys, there it is. That's our newest location in Tosa. Feel free to check it out. Know that you have access to the space and that we have a leadership team person there at all times to help and serve you and your businesses. And stay tuned for more exciting announcements as we continue to expand into the western suburbs of Wauwatosa, Elm Grove, and Brookfield. All right, so with that, we're changing up the order a little bit this morning, and I have some stuff that I really want Mandy to hit home on. So Mandy, I want you to come on, give us the upcoming training and education and events, because there is incredible stuff that you guys need to be adding to your calendar. So Mandy, tell us what is coming up in the month of March that people need to be paying attention to.
All right. Good morning, everyone. It is already March 2nd. So this Wednesday, the 3rd, so tomorrow, Gary Miller is doing an extended version of his vision speech. So join him and Jay Papasan on KW Connect Live. And he's going to be taking a comprehensive look at the real estate industry, where it's headed, what we've already seen, already in this crazy first quarter of the year. So that is tomorrow at 10:30. The training calendar originally said 10. So that is tomorrow at 10:30. Connect Live. We found out yesterday, all of the videos are now on Family Reunions portal. So it took them a little bit to get them up there with all of the weather and things that they were having. All of the videos and resources are there. You log into the original platform that you use to attend Family Reunion and you go to video library. There's also tons of PowerPoint resources under documents. So be sure to check that out. You have until April 12th to go back and watch all of that stuff. So look at, what Maureen talked about last week on what her favorite topics were. And if you missed any of that, go ahead, log in there. You have until April 12th to soak up all of that stuff. Then looking at our internal calendar, again, tomorrow, 10:30, KW market update. And then one other quick change, we did change the social equality task force is at 1 o'clock on Friday. It was originally at noon. It's going to be at 1 o'clock. Lunch will be provided, and that's going to be here in the North Shore training room. And then we did get information for regional awards is next week, Thursday. So in Charlie's recap email and Diana's recap email that goes out, there'll be a link for you to sign up for that. In order to get that Zoom information, you'll have to register for the regional awards next week. So keep an eye out for that. And then next Wednesday, we have Lead Gen Bootcamp with Hinton Fair Group. And then next Friday, Maureen and Friends. And then we have our regularly scheduled stuff. So launch coaching, productivity coaching, tons of great stuff. Make sure to block this off on your personal calendars. Also, if you guys were keeping an eye on your email, the GMAR and the WRA hosted by Marquette University are doing their real estate summit. Tons of great speakers, awesome information. You guys, this is a free event and it's done virtually this year. So please go ahead. Registration is open for this. We'll include the link for this as well, but it's from 1:30 to 3 o'clock on March 15th. And it's going to be great. So make sure to attend this. Tons of really great speakers and lots of really great information on what's happening, not just at KW North Shore, but in the Milwaukee area and in the real estate business. So mark your calendars for March 15th.
Guys, I would just say this is an event that I attend personally every single year. Marquette University and its director of real estate, Andrew Hunt, does a phenomenal job bringing us guest speakers from around the country to talk about the state of the residential real estate market. They'll also have guest speakers locally with regards to the Wisconsin Realtors Association and various other people. I think, to me, it's an incredibly worthy hour and a half of your time. It is great content. I highly recommend that you register for this content. And then Mandy, do we want to give a shout out to Janine and Amanda to talk about what they got coming up this week?
Yeah, absolutely. Amanda, what do we have today happening right after team meeting? Janine, what's on Thursday?
Okay, I'll tell you. So Thursday we're having Jenny Klug from Focus Title sharing her process and how important it is for agents to know what that process is. And in the coaching lead generation corner, top 5 lead generations that actually work from top producers at KW North Shore. So we're going to go over that.
Awesome. Thanks, Janine.
You're welcome.
All right, and then this is just more of a reminder for those of you who are filing your taxes quarterly. The deadlines are out for the first quarter. So if you're filing as an S Corp, it's March 15th, LLC, April 15th, and individual also April 15th. So make sure to have those dates for yourself.
Guys, plan ahead, making sure that you're paying your taxes quarterly, because if you aren't paying attention, you are fined an interest fee if you only pay them once a year annually. So reduce what you pay to the government and make sure that you're paying them and filing them quarterly. Below are the deadlines based on how you file your income. Make sure you add these to your calendar. Cool. All right. So guys, one of the things, last week we talked about challenge your thoughts, challenge your actions, right? Change your actions. And last week, if you saw it from Diana or myself in the Insights and Resources Recap weekly email, again, I challenge you to take the time to understand the Newsday documentary and article that was provided around Long Island Divided. The reason I bring this up is it is so parallel to what we see in Milwaukee. And I want to make sure that we are educating our people to be progressive in our thoughts and progressive in our actions in order to be and serve our community at the highest level. And with that as a reminder, Mandy kind of touched on this, but I am personally going to be leading a social equity task force on this Friday, March 5th, hosted at the North Shore office on Silver Spring Drive. Lunch will be provided, and please note that the time of this event is at 1 p.m. So I look forward to continuing a very robust discussion around how we can leverage our professional ability to serve our community and provide access to opportunity within our communities. Cool. All right, Lindsay, Tech Tuesday, what do we got coming on with direct mail campaigns?
All right, so we're talking again about direct mail, and this has been a topic that I've talked about and touched on several different times, but it's such an easy and valuable tool that's in command. So a little bit different this week. So today's workshop is in person, and it's in person, New Wauwatosa office. So if you haven't checked out the new space, if you want to learn more about direct mail campaigns in command, join me today in Wauwatosa. So today at 1 o'clock, if you're unable to make we have the direct mail campaigns YouTube video, the past recording from December 1st, the first training videos that's up there. And so I just wanted to highlight one of our agents who has used this piece in command. So Gail Zeman recently sent out a postcard campaign.
Hey, Lindsay.
Command.
Lindsay, I'll take over for you.
And the purpose was to send a very clear message.
All right, here we go. Lindsay, I'll take over for you. You're very choppy. So guys, here we go. What is Lindsay talking about? She's talking about direct mail campaigns via command, right? And she used a great example from Gail and Jim Zeman, where they sent out a postcard to their Story Hill neighborhood within their community. Gail and Jim live in the Story Hill neighborhood. They sent this postcard out that they designed directly in command, sent it out for, I believe, 59 cents a card. They targeted the exact homes they wanted it to go to. Boom, what happened? Gail got a listing appointment out of it. So you want to learn more about direct mail campaigns, not only is there resources available to you on the YouTube channel, but Lindsay will be teaching it today at 1 o'clock at our new location in KW Innovation, at KW Tosa on Innovation Drive. So check it out with Lindsay or set up a one-on-one with her to better understand how to send direct mail campaigns specifically to certain homes or specifically to certain neighborhoods to target and build your business. So Lindsay is a phenomenal resource for you to learn how to do that at a very cost-effective way, at a roughly, I believe, 59 cents a card. Cool. All right, Steph Kennard, what do we got coming up for compliance updates?
Morning, guys. Just wanted to quickly tack on to last week's discussion on wire fraud, and just remind everybody what our checkpoints are with our customers when we're disclosing wire fraud and making sure that they're being careful. So with the Keller Williams disclosure, just a reminder, this is not just our business disclosure or affiliated business disclosure. There are also extra disclosures regarding wire fraud prevention on here. So make sure that you're going over this with them when you're having them sign that form. And this is for all clients and customers. And then when we're going over our offer to purchases, second point, at the very bottom of page 1, there's yet another disclosure on the risk of wire fraud. So again, when you're going through the offer to purchase with your buyers, making sure that you're touching on that. And then third, with the contract to close process, when you are coordinating with the lenders to get the buyers their final closing funds, making sure that you're reminding buyers that you're connecting directly with your lenders and the title companies on that, and that any emails that you guys receive, you are following up via phone. So plenty of opportunities for us to remind our buyers about this. Wire fraud scares me a lot. So
And
next
it should.
slide. And it should. And then we just wanted to highlight our compliance trainings this month. Yesterday we had a general help desk, but next week, Joni and I decided instead of going over the inspection contingency language in the offer to purchase, Kimmy did a training on that back in November. highlighting the right to cure specifically. We would love to share real life examples of how the inspection contingency can get mapped out based off of real life stories. So we kind of have a call to action. If you guys can share anything this week with us, we'd love to compile examples or hop on to next week's training and share them yourself. So I think it's really good to have examples of these to really make sure that it's connecting and clicking and how the inspection contingency works and the consequences of it. And then on March 15th, we're going to do a contract to close with focusing solely on listings and with your sellers. March 22nd, we're going to do a training on the addendum R, the addendum O, and then the addendum EC, which is the escalation clause, which is being used, as we know, a ton in this environment. So please come to that training on March 22nd. And then March 29th, another general help desk. Just come with any questions that you guys have. And that is all I've got.
Cool. Thanks, Steph. Guys, I'm going to hammer this home, and I'm going to hit you upside the head like a frying pan until we hear this, because we continue to see poor ethical behavior. And when you act poorly, you represent all of us, and one bad apple ruins the bunch in terms of our professional reputations, right? Guys, don't create communication roadblocks, insisting you only can be reached via text. Coordinate times to speak verbally. There is zero emotion in text or email. Making sure that you're communicating and developing rapport with your co-broke will ensure a smooth transaction, right? Respect the schedule within showing time. Do not show up early. Do not overgo it, right? If you need to follow a follow-up time, which I understand can be very difficult in this market, respect the schedule. And then lastly, the one that I really want to make sure we point out is provide showing feedback. It continues to amaze me that we still have KW associates that are unwilling to provide 2 minutes of their time to one of their fellow peers who worked incredibly hard. Sorry, I almost swore my mom would kill me. Worked incredibly hard to win the listing, and they are excited that they have a KW agent that wants to show it, and the KW agent decides not to give the feedback, and it makes the listing agent look stupid, for lack of a better terms, right? When you represent KW, you represent all of us. And so let's make sure that we're adhering and upholding to incredibly high professional standards, because here's what I owe to you. The standard will never be lowered. If anything, the standard will only be raised, right? And that is what I owe you. And that is what I owe you, our associates. So making sure that you're being professional around your communication, especially in a tight market, is sincerely appreciated right now. Cool. All right, I'll get off my high horse on that one. So guys, before I jump into market insights, what I wanted to do is I've asked a few of our top people to jump on and provide some of their commentary around the market of the moment, right? So I'm super stoked this morning. I'm planning to have a conversation with Natasha Duvall, Paul Nikolic, Ross Treffer, and Nikki Kunik. And I asked these guys, right? And it really stemmed from Elena Zeman's Facebook post that had so much content around how are we staying motivated in the current market environment? How are we not stacking up losses? So Tosh, I want to start with you, because you and I had a great conversation yesterday around staying motivated and staying positive and leading your team with positivity to help them navigate the market. So Tosh, talk about that with me.
Well, as we all know, it's tremendously difficult. All of this, where you have 35 buyers for one listing. What are you going to do? Or maybe you have 70, whatever it is. I was thinking about this after our conversation, and one of the things that, I don't know, for those of you who watch American Idol and that have been around for a little while, you need some distraction. But this hit home for me on Sunday evening or Monday evening, that when you win, you win. And when you lose, you learn. So Lionel Richie was out there talking about this. And this has been what's been going on. The emotion of when we win a deal, we're over the top. But when we lose, what happens? We tend to get down. We tend to talk negatively. We tend to, oh, this market. Well, come on, guys. We got to learn from this. We have to learn. And I think for what we're doing as we're all talking about it, it goes back to communication and very important sit-down conversations with your buyers and your sellers. Take a minute, you guys. This is huge for people. sit down, not at the back of your car, not outside while showing the house. Give them the respect and the time to say, what is it about this house that's the one? Well, what can we do? I want you to talk about everything, all the pieces and parts. We are very good agents. We are good at what we do. So when we win, we're going to win big. And when we lose, we're going to learn and we're going to move forward. We're all here doing this together. And we're very grateful to be here having a very successful run. It's tough, but we will all get there. So we all talk about this and we all sit around in our office and figure out how we can do things better. We strategize constantly, but really let's keep a smile on our face and have communication one-on-one with each buyer and each seller, because the more information they have, the better decisions they will make. Whether they get the house or they don't, we'll know better next time how to get there.
Love it. It's being proactive in your communication and maintaining positive, a positive thought forward, right? And what I love that Tosh said was, when you win, you win. And when you lose, you learn. When you lose, you learn. So use that learning moment to coach, teach, and consult your clients to understand what's going on within the market of the moment. Ross Trefford, how about you? Thank you, Tosh.
You're welcome.
Ross Trefford, how about you? How are you helping your buyers how are you really specifically helping your buyers stay motivated in the market of the moment? And what are some of your key takeaways in 21 that you're really helping implement?
So Steph made a chat comment that said it's more important than ever to have buyer consultations before you go out and start seeing some of those homes. And I've been using that as an opportunity. The lead in to having a buyer consultation with a lot of the buyers that I meet is, in this type of a market, if you go see a house and you end up falling in love with the first or second house that you see, I don't want that to also be the very first time that you see an offer to purchase, or that you're going through all of this paperwork that has a ton of questions. You don't know what you're signing, but you have to do it quick because you might lose the house. So what I like to do is sit down in a very, relaxed environment, either a coffee shop or our office, whatever it is, and not only go over all the buyer paperwork, but have the conversation about what sort of a market that we're currently in. The ways that I try to keep people positive and stay motivated is letting them know that it's going to be a roller coaster in terms of what Natasha said. When we find it, when we win, you're really excited, but when you lose, you're going to maybe get down on yourself, and to not let that negativity seep in. And the way that I describe it is the exact same way that we're sitting down here today, getting ready to enter the market as buyers. There's other agents that are sitting at a kitchen table with sellers that are going to have a listing that comes up in 3 days or a week or 2 weeks or a month. We don't know that they're having those conversations, but those houses are coming. So I use that as an opportunity to just continuously stay optimistic. I hope that it's one and done and, off we go to the closing table. But if it's going to take a while, that's the way that I kind of prep people in knowing that even though this house is now gone, we're still going to have other inventory that comes up. The biggest takeaway that I've had in 2021, we've talked about this a ton on our team in the last couple of weeks. It really comes down to communication. You have to do your due diligence before you're showing to try to get in contact with that listing agent to find out, what should I know? What are some of the other things that we can do outside of purchase price that are going to make our offer stand out? And then also recognizing that listing agent, I always start every phone call with the listing agent when they've got a listing that came up on a day or 2 ago. I make a joke that, hey, you must be one busy person right now, so I don't want to take up a ton of your time, but what can you tell me? So just try to be the best steward for your client possible. Don't go in, demanding information or being upset about the showing schedule or whatever it is, because you need to, not only is the agent trying to sell your offer or your buyers, but that agent is also selling you as a co-broke to those sellers. And if they've already had a negative interaction with you, you can bet that they don't want to deal with you for another 30 or 45 days when they have 10 other people that they can choose from. So our big thing has been communication, be respectful.
Ross, you know what I'm hearing you're telling me is you're setting expectations not only for your clients, but you're setting expectations for your co-broke up front. in terms of how you communicate. You're setting your standard, you're setting the pace. And so that when you have communications that are when you have expectations that are being proactive, it allows you to react in a positive, calm manner to say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, we talked about this. This is going to be a difficult market. Here's how we're going to help you navigate this, right? And you're very good about setting those expectations up front.
Exactly. And the last thing I'll say is talk to other agents about how you can do this, but get creative with these contingencies. There's ways that you can still keep a buyer protective and have those contingencies in place, but get very creative with the way you word them or the way you structure them to win on both sides.
Totally. Ross, thanks for your perspective, man. All right, Nikki Kunik, how about you? How are you staying positive with buyers that, maybe having a difficult time finding where they want to go, and you maintaining that positive mental attitude with your clients?
So I would say first, I would echo both things that Natasha and Ross just talked about. I would say the thing that I would add is when I'm talking to my buyers in these buyer consults or early on, I have a phrase that I like to use with them, like, we're going to control the controllables. There's only so much that we can do on our end, and we can't control what a seller is going to do. We can't control what other agents and other buyers are going to do, if they're coming with cash, if they're waiving their contingencies. None of that is in our hands. So we're just going to control what we can control, and we're going to put our best foot forward with every offer that we write. But there also has to be a limit, right? Because when buyers reach the desperation, so many buyers are so desperate to get into a house that they start, oh, maybe I'll do this, or maybe I'll do that, or we can go a little higher, but they're really not comfortable with that. I try to set a precedence that there has to be a limit of, we're only going to offer so much. We are only going to get so creative or waive so many things, if that's even in the realm of possibilities, because we can't just keep going and going and going and push ourselves out of a comfort level. So we're going to control what we're going to control, but we're also going to set a limit and know that those limits may be surpassed by other buyers. And if that's the case, that's the case, and we move on. And so those conversations, again, communication early on with telling them how the market's going to be. I mean, positive, but also really realistic too. And saying to them, like, I'm in your corner. It may take a while. We may be together for a few months, like lucky us, we get to hang out, but we just got to keep pushing forward and keep moving forward together. And we're probably going to lose a few, and just being really honest with them. And if we win the first one, awesome. That's an extra celebration. But if we lose a few, like, that's okay. And ultimately, like Natasha said, when you win, you win, and they get a house, they forget about all the other ones they lost because they're so excited about that one. So you just got to move on quickly and just keep the bus rolling. And I just keep trying to remind them that we're going to control our controllables, and we're going to just move forward together. So that's my biggest takeaway, and the phrase I like to keep going back to bring us all back down to reality and moving forward in a good direction.
Control the controllables, right? The other thing that I want to reiterate that Nikki talked about is, you don't want to be the agent where your client wakes up in their home for the next 5 years trying to figure out that everything is really uncomfortable, and they place the blame on you, right? And so set right sizing expectations of what is their ceiling so that it doesn't become uncomfortable for them. Again, that is Nikki doing her fiduciary and protecting her client at the highest level, and not worried about getting a deal just to get a deal. I love that. All right, Paulie baby, round us out. Paul Nikolic of the Nikolic Group. How are you helping your buyers, your clients, really manage expectations, and how are you right-sizing communication for them in this current market of the moment?
Absolutely. So I think all three of you were spot on in every single case. What I would piggyback on what Nikki said was, setting the expectation sometimes means getting your client in the mind frame that they might be pre-approved for 400,000, but houses are going for 30 and 40 over the ask. So the logical thing to do is to pull that price back. And I think that's difficult sometimes because buyers are shopping and saying, but I can go to X. And by setting that expectation, talking about what is their comfort range of payments every month, that's huge. That's absolutely huge. And I would say definitely use the listing agents as a resource. It's no different than if we lose a listing, you know, we're going back to the seller saying, what could I have done to improve? I do the same thing with the listing agents. Yes, absolutely, build rapport. You want to carry yourself professionally, but I have no shame in going back to the listing agent and asking them, what could we have done? What was frowned upon? And I'm going to try and fish every single thing I possibly can in terms of what could my client have done to strengthen their position.
When you win, you win. And when you lose, you learn. And that's what Paulie's doing. Paul, I love that you talked about how you know, I get it, right? Listing agents are super busy right now. They're dealing with 40 or 50 offers. And what I've seen this because I've been in the room when Paul calls him, is he's relentless because he is trying to serve his clients at the highest level, to understand what it was within the offer to help them improve their position for the next time. Paul, anything else in which you're helping your clients stay motivated or positive?
You know, I guess I'd make one quick side comment that in every single market, there is opportunity, you guys. So we're really, really buyer centric right now. Inventory is low, but I would really get some focus and think about the fact that right now you've got the market's incredibly hot. The stock market, you got trillions of dollars flooding the economy right now. The interest rates are still really low. So what does it look like a couple months from now, once everybody's vaccinated? What is that consumer confidence going to do? And when are those listings going to pool on the market? So think about it like this. One thing that we're doing right now is doubling down on farming, because think about it, listings will inevitably come. So think about positioning yourself for when those listings really do come on. So think about your sphere, doubling down on that. Think about areas you sell homes, you know, definitely think about that. And, you know, I always reflect on, you know, previous markets that I've been in 2009, you know, it was common to show 7,500 houses to one buyer. And when you're the listing agent, the conversations were ridiculous to get a seller to accept an offer when homes were selling at such a low price. So every market presents a challenge, but every market presents a win. And in 2009, it was to say to the seller, hey, you know what? I can help you rent your home if that enables you to make a purchase. And when that market spins around, I'll be here to help you get it sold and recoup that equity. So you got to think of every market as, where is my opportunity?
Totally. And guys, remember the phrase, misery loves company, right? And so if you feel as if your clients are in that miserable state, you cannot allow to be a part of the company, right? You have to help pull them out, set right sizing the expectations, learn from when they've lost out and move forward. Because, and the last thing I'd leave you with is this, you know, control the controllables that I love that Nikki talked about is one thing, but also to Paul's point is time on task, time on task, time on task. And while it may feel like a very difficult first quarter, at some point we're all going to come out of this. And so how are you positioning your brand, your reputation, and your business to take advantage of the opportunity when the business or the listings pop? And that's what Paul's talking about, time on task. Cool. Guys, I appreciate you sharing your insights and jumping on to share with our group to make of the market of the moment. And I thought it was extremely important for people to hear from this group of really talented 4 individuals, because they're experiencing the same market you are. And you're not alone in all of this. And so I wanted to give good perspective as to how people are navigating and dealing with this to help continue to move the ball forward. Awesome. All right, guys, I'm going to jump into my market insights, weekly insights on the 5-county metro area of Waukesha, Milwaukee, Racine, Washington, and Ozaukee counties. I'm going to give you the weekly insights. And I'm going to start with some upfront information around showing time data, as I usually do. But this time I took a broader view as I have done a few other times. And we're going to take a look at what the market is doing in North America. So remember here, the light blue line is 2019 average in terms of showing activity. The dark blue line is 2020, and the orange line is 2021 weekly average of showing time activity. You can see here across all of North America, showing time activity, is kind of pretty much on par across North America, right? Okay, interesting note. Then let's take a look to our neighbors to the south. In the state of Illinois, the neighbors to our south, you can see in really all of 2020, there was really significant growth in terms of showing time activity versus the prior year of 2019. 2021 is really kind of honestly started out a little bit slow in this to our neighbors of the south in the state of Illinois, really kind of significantly off of where they were in 2020. And then you can see beginning in mid-March where it really started to fall off. So we'll continue to pay attention to that. But again, that's the state of Illinois. In the state of Minnesota, our neighbors to the north, a little bit of a different story. Their 2021 is on par with 2020. They're seeing very solid demand in the marketplace of their showing activity, right? Continuing to see good trends here. And then here I jump into the state of Wisconsin. So what do I make of the state of Wisconsin data, right? Last week was pretty much on par with 2020. And, for all intents and purposes, I would say this is not that big of a gap to where we were last year based on the current market, right? And the reason I say that is, yes, is Minnesota having a nice year so far? Yes, they are. But I also know that in the state of Wisconsin in the month of February, we also have 40% less inventory than we historically would have. And I think that the lack of showing time activity is simply related to the lack of inventory. I don't think this is directly correlated to demand. So seeing this really beginning to spike the last week of February into the first week of March, I will be interested and curious to see as we continue into the spring and hopefully alleviate some of the inventory issues that we're seeing spring and then into summer. This showing time activity based on the demand to continue to rise. What I would tell you is while the market is difficult right now in the market of the moment, I would begin prepping to Paul's point. I do believe the summer and fall, similarly to what we saw last year after the stay-at-home orders, is going to be a very robust market. The reason I say that is continuously, as you look at the health updates on COVID trends, on vaccination trends, where we're heading towards herd immunity, I do think as we get closer and closer to summer and fall is when you'll really start to see the market pop based on what I'm seeing and reading across the macro economics of what's going on. Here, when you look at the sales absorption rate, again, sales absorption rate is the total percentage of inventory that goes under contract. Last week, really the last week of February, we were at 13.2% of the total inventory went under contract. Guys, this is far, as I showed you in previous weeks, and I'll do it again next month. When we look at a month by month basis, this is far exceeding even the highest market trends that we saw in all of 2020, right? So homes are going under contract at an unbelievable pace and an unbelievable quick clip. And when you compare it to what we saw in September and October, a very robust market, and roughly 10% of the inventory was going under contract at that time. The fact that we are now in February and heading into March seeing 11 and last week seeing 13.2% is phenomenal, right? So incredible stuff. It tells me that the demand is still in the market, and buyer fatigue, well, yes, is it real and people are feeling it? Yes, but what it's also telling me is people are learning from their losses and they're moving on quickly. Here, this is the number of units that are going under contract. Last week, in the last week of February, there were 467 units that went under contract. Again, it's elevated compared to prior years, and it's exceeding what we saw in November, December. Historically, November and December were better real estate months than January and February. So to see this kind of inventory or units going under contract in the month of February is healthy trends for when we should expect to see closings in March, April, and May, right? But again, what's the trend and takeaway in all this? It would be higher if we had elevated levels of inventory. New inventory levels. Now here's where I talk about, right? 1 week is an anomaly, 2 weeks is a trend. This is a little bit of a concerning trend for me. Seeing last week, there were only 372 new units that went new to the marketplace or new in inventory. Here's what you need to know. Units that are going under contract are exceeding new inventory on a weekly basis by 100 units a week the last 2 weeks. Why? How do I know that? The last 2 weeks, 467 units went under contract. This week, only 372 came to the market in new inventory. So again, as we think about the inventory situation and what's going on in our marketplace, we continue to see the compression. So I'm waiting to... We're all waiting and we're all doing our part to try and bring new inventory to the market. But at this current pace, we're going to continue to see inventory trends, and this is total inventory across the marketplace, continue to shrink based on what we're seeing of units that are going under contract and units that are coming to the marketplace. So again, I'm going to be paying attention to this on a weekly basis because we really need to start to see this number pop up ahead or exceeding units that are going under contract in order to begin to alleviate what we're seeing in the marketplace from a total inventory perspective. Again, for perspective, on the last week of February, last year, we had around 8,000 units. 8,000 units were on the marketplace. This year, we have 3,500. That is a significant decrease in the total inventory. And next week, just so you know, because it's too early in the month being March 2nd, but next week I'll be able to wrap up the month of February and provide you the perspective as it relates to how February of 2020 compared to February 21, and then provide you the language of real estate metrics that also helps us understand how many contracts were written and various other metrics that we look forward to that are leading metrics in our industry that will lead to future closings or future production. So guys, that's it. It's 9:45. Wanted to give you a fresh perspective from some incredible people that have incredibly positive mindsets, that have built big businesses and that are staying the course to finish the mission, right? Be on the lookout for Diana and I's weekly insights and resources email, where we will have the WRI registration for the summit. I will provide again the Newsday article around Long Island Divided, the regional awards link to sign up. And then I noticed that Brian Pat threw in an Excel document that he loves to share. I will pull that from Brian and share it with the group. So guys, have an awesome Tuesday on March 2nd. Be great. If there's anything you need or anything our team can help serve you, please let us know. Lake Country crew, I'll let you jump over to the Lake Country meetup. North Shore crew, I will hang on for the new buyer and seller needs. Give me a minute to switch over.